Tyler Perry's done it again. And by it, I mean another one of these quickly churned out pieces of shit that he keeps coming out with, usually in some way having to do with lawyers. They're often titled something short and sweet. Honestly, it gives off either like naming a whole movie after like the word of the day and then coming up with the premise of it afterwards. Acrimony, mea culpa, temptation. Today we're talking about Duplicity, his newest film that has now been released on Amazon Prime. And I say newest, assuming that he's probably already dropped like 45 other movies since the like 2.5 days it takes for me to upload this video. For those of you that are new to me, hello, I'm Kendall here. If you're new around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home? Scale biscuit. I've become, over the years, a more and more self-proclaimed Tyler Perry hater. For a lot of reasons. Not because everything he does is terrible. Actually, I think one of his movies that gets a lot of shit is actually not bad. Acrimony. And I've actually done a video defending Acrimony because I think if taken out of the context of his other work, that movie is not bad. It has interesting questions that we should ask around anger and the way that it can take over someone's life. Who's right? Who's wrong? There's a lot to discuss in that movie, and I actually think it's pretty good. But most of his movies, since he's seemed to have foregone the very staunchly religious musical undertones that came from his original plays, have gone into this crime drama / weird sex movies. I'm not going to be talking about it much today, but yes, I have seen Beauty in Black. I'll probably end up making, I was going to say, I don't know if I'll probably end up making a video about it. Because the first season has come out in its entirety and it's so bad. It's so bad, but particularly it's a perfect example of Tyler Perry's visible bumbling through certain more provocative themes since he's again veered away from his very like staunchly religious and Christian things that he used to make before. But that's a whole other story around sex in his works. This movie, Duplicity, falls into another category that sometimes mashes with the weird sex shit, and that is crime drama, particularly lawyer shit. And I've talked about before his work in the past that involves lawyers. It seems like he's never met a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, so I guess in fairness, who am I to judge? But damn, like a quick research would tell you some of this shit don't make sense. All I do is watch Legal Eagle. This movie is in some ways just a very shitty version of other things that he's done, but it's still better than his worst work. The movie is about a woman named Marley, played by Kat Graham, who we haven't seen on the channel since, wasn't she the one in that one movie where she accidentally becomes roommates with a random guy on vacation? That was her, right? Kat Graham is an actress, like a legitimate actress. She's good at her job and she's good in this movie as much as one can be. But she plays Marley, who is a lawyer who takes it upon herself to defend her best friend whose husband is killed wrongfully by the police. The more she looks into it, the more things aren't quite what they seem. And again, as far as movies from Tyler Perry go, this could be way worse. It often feels like a movie. Whereas, A Fall from Grace doesn't. Mea Culpa just felt like a exhibition kink type thing he was getting into. Honestly, a lot of his work, especially sexual, just feels like an excuse to see a lot of man ass, which I'm not against. Just be honest is what I'm saying. Just be honest. But the things that are decent about the movie absolutely fall apart by the end. It is so bad, arguably offensive. Like, so bad that it makes me mad. And again, it's one of 48 films he's probably releasing in the next 7 days that was probably mostly written by AI. That's how a lot of his work feels these days. If not the lines themselves, definitely the script, the script idea. As far as like technicality, the movie, I guess, camera wise is fine. It does look like it was filmed in 2 days. It looks like it was filmed in a weekend, which is something that he's done in the past. And he has been very like proud of it. I don't think he should be. And by the time it gets to the end, it looks like a bumbling rush to the finish line. And again, I need you to sit down and let somebody else make a movie. Like, all that money you got, finance, especially in the current state of things, financing Black creatives, financing those stories would do you a lot of good. But instead, you keep making shit. And I am floored. Also, there's a part of this movie within the undercurrent. There's definitely whiffs of Black Republican apologetics. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but my gut is often right. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm curious what y'all think by the time we get to the end and talk about the specifics of what happens in the movie and how Tyler goes about the movie. But yeah, that's my spoiler-free review. It sucks, but not as bad as other things have sucked by Tyler Perry, but it's also smells of there's good people on both sides type energy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Kind of all lives matter type energy. You know what I mean? Hello everyone, this is Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Ladder. It's been a while since I've been consistently working out. And I'm trying to get back into it. Working out is just so awesome for your mental and physical health. And one of the issues that I've found in the past is feeling overwhelmed when I haven't done it in a while. Often the issue is that I need to go in with a plan. And Ladder is an app that actually provides those plans. Weekly progressive overload programs provided by a coach that you can use each week. You can look through different styles and intensities of working out, different coaches, find who works best for you, and then they give video instructions, demos, in-ear instruction, and a way to track your progress, whether through the weight that you can lift or your stamina or however you want to calculate your progress. One of the things I love best about it is that it seamlessly connects to music streaming so that when you're getting instruction, it doesn't completely stop the music. I've had other apps that do that and it's very annoying and off-putting. I decided to do Define, which is a combination of Pilates and strength training, and it kicks my butt. But afterwards, I feel really accomplished and motivated. I did noodle arms and abs today, and I know it's gonna hurt tomorrow. I can feel it hurting right now. And the next time I go to work out, I know I'll have something to do. I don't have to think about it too much. I just go in, which means that I'm more likely to do it and stay motivated and consistent. And that's what it's all about, baby. So if you would like to check out Ladder and get 33% off, feel free to click on the link down below or the QR code floating around my noggin. Big thanks to Ladder for sponsoring today's video. Let's get on to the debauchery, baby. So the movie begins in a cycling class, which means that somebody is up to no good because cycle classes are cults. Soul Cycle, selling your soul to the devil. How do I know this? Because I went to Soul Cycle at least twice. This is my story on how I escaped Soul Cycle. But all jokes aside, cycling classes bring you to the brink of death and pull you back. So I get why people get emotionally attached to them, but whoa. And that's the reason why you end up spending $400 a month to ride on a bike. Girl, I must have been smoking dick. Absolutely not. Anyway, we meet Marley, who is a lawyer. We meet her boyfriend, Tony, who is an ex-cop turned PI. His friend, Kevin, who is still a cop. And her friend, Fila, who is a news reporter. Fila doesn't seem to like Kevin. She thinks that he's kind of a creep and he's always in the back of the exercise classes just to see women's asses. Marley is like, that's his friend. He's cool. Chill out. He's all right. Fila is married to a man named Rodney, who Marley introduced to each other. So she's close to Rodney and they're all friends. Because of that, she's feels a little bit betrayed that there seems to be some strife between them and she hasn't been made aware of it. That's not your business. They married. That's their business, whatever. Does Tyler Perry identify as queer? I guess it's none of our business. Tyler Perry has publicly stated that he is heterosexual and has denied rumors about his sexuality, stating that he's a straight man who got a little bit of style. Well, all I'm gonna say is Tyler Perry and I seem to have the same type. He always gets a real buff light-skinned dude or a real buff dark-skinned dude. It's always a that's gay porn fine. I know I'm not the only one. Like I said, reminder, Kevin is a cop. And he ends up taking a white kid who's a rookie, his name is Caleb, out on the streets to do patrol. And while out, they get a call that there is a suspicious black man walking around behind someone's house. And that call came in from this older white woman who we see on the phone. She calls the police because she gets a call from someone that she believes to be her neighbor. So she sees this black man in a hoodie walking around behind a house. So she calls the police off of their recommendation. Why this neighbor didn't call the police instead of calling another person to then call the police is news to me, but that doesn't sound suspicious to white woman at all because she's more concerned about seeing with free will walking outside. Maybe she believes she's too smart to be outsmarted by people with ill intent.
I'm not falling for any scams if that's what this is.
No.
Because she knows that scammers do announce when they're going to scam. Kevin and the rookie go find the mysterious black man with guns drawn. He doesn't hear them saying to stop because he has headphones in because he was going for a run. And when he does notice them, by reflex, he tries to pull his hands out of his pockets, and there's his phone, which they mistake for a gun. And Kevin yells, gun, 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 and the white officer shoots him. Fila, who, again, is a news reporter, finds out about her husband's shooting while reporting on his shooting. That's crazy. If this was a better movie, that'd be a good scene. That's wild. And probably wouldn't happen, but just still like, whoa. But Rodney dies, and Fila is immediately irate at Kevin, knowing that he was one of the officers on the scene. Reasonable. She didn't like anyway, and now she has many reasons to not like him because he is responsible partly for her husband's death. And the points at which this movie feels like a real movie are mostly centered around these moments of grief, particularly in the first half of the movie. As it goes along, it gets dumb. But at least in the beginning, you feel like this is a real movie. Fila's crying over his death at the funeral, cussing out news reporters that feel the need to like report on his death at the funeral. That's crazy. Marley's grief over losing a friend as well, and how that catapults her into wanting to sue the city for everything it has, essentially, to seek some type of justice for her friend's death. But the problem is, like many of his recent work, Tyler Perry refuses to show things. He likes to just do passion flixian level of exposition, just talking on screen. Again, I feel like these movies are filmed in 2.5 days, so he doesn't have time to do a bunch of scenes that show the subtleties of human interaction. He has to just say it explicitly on screen. So Tony, Marley's boyfriend, was once a police officer that was fired for some vague reason. They met because she was his lawyer and got him a pretty large settlement. And though he doesn't work with the police anymore, he still has buddies that still work there and can give him insight. So he tells Marley that they're saying it's unusual and it was huge and it looked like a gun. And I'm like, bitch, that's an OtterBox. Like, what are you talking about? But beyond that, they just say it's suspicious that a black man was behind that house, I guess. Kevin comes to the house after the funeral, and this is a reoccurring thing where Kevin just pops up places that are very ostentatious to be at, that nobody wants you there. And it's one of those things that doesn't feel as much about narrative and more just like tension creating devices. But he ends up talking to Tony after Fila yells at him to get out. And Kevin is like, the white officer had a shady past and you should look into it and yada, 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 because there's stuff that goes back a little bit about him. So look into it. Violent protests break out over the killing of Rodney. Rodney, wow, subtle, as in Rodney King, subtle enough that I forgot. A bunch of riots go off about Rodney, and this Marley uses as a incentive to settle with the city. She goes to the DA's office and sees the body cam footage, which solidifies her resolve. She literally just watched her friend be killed by police, which really f***ed up, really traumatizing. But the DA does inform her that the police union is on the side of the police officer, saying that he did nothing wrong. It looks like a gun and they were just following protocol, and it is what it is. So Marley's like, y'all don't know who you with. So she starts doing her research. She goes over to the house of the woman that called the police. She swears she isn't racist, but says that if she keeps poking around here and, you know, with all the protests going on, she will call the police again. Nice. Now, as things are becoming more and more heated politically in the city, the station that Fila works for gets an anonymous tip that Rodney was actually having an affair. He was having an affair with a white woman named Anna Lewis. And for some reason, they show her headshots. Like her Instagram shots, not just like anyway. And apparently the house that he was behind was hers. There's some other evidence of them seeing each other. So the concern is that the city is going to use this as evidence of Rodney being an adulterer, which means it's cool for him to be killed by the state. But with this information, she seems almost more upset that in those photos, she ends up seeing Tony kind of tailing them. So she believes that Tony knew that Rodney was having an affair and didn't tell her. He said he was hired as a PI by Anna Lewis's husband. And when he saw Rodney there, he confronted him like, hey, why are you cheating on your wife? He's like, I'll never do it again. Tony says that he didn't tell her because he just wanted to keep the peace. That's her friend. We gonna see him. I didn't like him, and you knew I wasn't a huge fan of him, and that's why, because he was cheating on his wife, and I saw it. But Marley can't trust him because she already has trust issues, and the fact that he would hide something this serious from her doesn't help. Marley's like, I'm gonna tell Fila about the affair because she doesn't want her to get blindsided by this information, because undoubtedly it's gonna come out. Eventually, Marley goes and speaks with the neighbor that supposedly called the old white woman who called the police. This is an older black woman, and she's like, I did not call anybody. I didn't tell nobody about nothing. I don't even like that old white bitch, and I wouldn't talk to her willingly. Marley goes to Fila's house. She's burning pictures of her dead husband, and this is before she even knows that he was cheating on her. So, which she does tell her during this, which undoubtedly makes the grief even worse, because it's one thing to die, but to embarrass me in death? Absolutely insane. From the grave, honey? Absolutely not. But after a day's worth of investigating and looking into it, she comes home and she is snuck up on, confronted by Caleb, the white officer, in a hoodie at her garage, which is scary as f. And he's like, I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. I swear to God, I'm not a racist. And please tell Fila I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not a racist. Out comes Tony. He threatens him with a gun and he leaves. He scurries off. Now, despite him coming to the rescue, Marley is still very upset with him about him betraying her trust. So she's putting him in a doghouse. He got to sleep on the couch, and they're going to have to work through that. Kevin goes to Caleb, who is at Rodney's grave in the middle of the night. Sketch for both of y'all to be there, honestly. But Kevin says that he was tailing the white boy. He's on leave. He's not at the police station. Kevin is also on leave because of the events of the case. And Kevin is like, don't even worry about it. I will testify on your behalf because what you did was completely valid. Caleb is like, I got to talk to the wife. I got to tell Fila how sorry I am. I just have to have her hear me out. Marley goes to visit Fila again, and she sees a man in a black hoodie that looks suspiciously like Caleb, but I knew it wasn't Caleb because that would make too much sense. But he's able to get away, and she goes up to the house, calling Fila, calling the police, saying that there was a man that broke into her home. When she finds Fila, she is passed out on the couch, and she's concerned that something has happened to her, but actually she had just taken a sleeping pill and passed the out. So the police come over. She's really upset about everything. And here comes Kevin coming over to her damn house again. I am pretty sure this is not protocol. I'm pretty sure that's not legal to be able to come into her house in general, but especially if you're the guy that is in the defense for the murder of her husband, I'm pretty sure you can't be there. Around this time, Marley finds out about Caleb's history in the army. Apparently, he had a background of assaulting a black soldier and calling him slurs, which could perhaps support that the murder of Rodney was racially motivated. Suddenly, the DA wants to settle with Marley when they didn't want to before. And Marley correctly suggests that it's because they knew about his history with the soldier. Why did you just hire a person who already had a violent history against black people? And the DA is like, well, recruits are down and we need police. So yeah. Then it goes into like Marley's issue with the DA because she has something to do with her boyfriend getting fired. Something about the DA firing him for stealing drugs at the police station when you knew that wasn't true. Marley is like, yes, let's settle. And I want to be able to speak out about the issues going on in the city with police. So they settle. Fila comes out to address the community, basically asking for the violence to stop, especially now that she got her money. And they also issue a criminal warrant for Caleb. 4 months pass. And suddenly, one day while out at the gym, about to walk to her car, she gets kidnapped by Caleb, a white woman who we will learn is Anna Lewis, and a black woman who is Caleb's wife. Anna is a terrible actress. I don't know if this is her first time doing it. I don't know if she was nervous. I don't know if they gave her lines with enough time or whatever. I'm trying to be sympathetic. She is absolutely atrocious.
I moved. I changed my name. But he always found me.
And that's saying a lot to stand out as bad in a Tyler Perry production these days. But she's bad. She said, what you think is going on is not what's actually going on. Kevin, I dated him for a year and he got super possessive and very stalker and abusive. And as they're talking, she finds out that Kevin was telling her that he planned to marry Marley. And she's like, what the f are you talking about? We never dated. We aren't even close. Like, what are you talking about? Does this really ever come up again? No. But anyway, Anna started dating Rodney and he said that he could protect her from Kevin. So she thinks that Rodney was killed in a grand plot by Kevin as revenge for stealing Anna away from him. Caleb's black wife starts talking and she seems to think this is a gotcha, that a presumably racist white man is married to a black woman. And I hate to break it to you, but that's actually more common than you think. Plenty of racists marry minorities. It's very common, actually. Like, she did not eat the way she thought she ate it. Not at all. She gives her number, begging Marley to please reconsider her like complete distrust of Caleb. Gives them their number so that she can call because they are desperate. Eventually, she considers more about some things that are kind of fishy about Kevin, something about how he wasn't supposed to be in the district that he was even in when Rodney got shot. And so she's like, okay, sure, let's hear more out from these people. They basically talk about how Caleb was trying to get help for Rodney and Kevin seemed to be slowing down that process. The wife says that Caleb was discharged dishonorably in a conspiracy because her ex-boyfriend was the black soldier that he assaulted and that soldier was beating her and Caleb came to her rescue. He didn't say any slurs. Kevin used that misinformation to basically target him and frame him to get rid of Rodney. Anna says that she has proof of Kevin's violence and that she has it in a phone that she taped under the sink in a bathroom of a random house that they used to rent on and off. What? I know that's the least of the issues with this movie, but what a logistic cluster. The cloud, bitch. Like, why did you leave the phone? What? As we'll come to find out, the house is huge with like 15 bathrooms. Like, which bathroom, bitch? Who knows? She left a phone with video evidence of Kevin being abusive on it and didn't take it with her. I don't know. Whatever. She had enough time to tape it under the sink, but not enough time to tape it, to keep it with her as evidence of him being whatever. Anyway, so Marley goes to the house and it's a big ass mansion. And here comes Tony popping up for some reason. He says basically like, oh, I was tailing you because I felt like you were on to something. It's been suspicious this whole time, but especially there. Here comes Kevin in like a yellow Ferrari driving to this mansion that he used to rent, he says, but he just went ahead and bought on a cop's salary. Nothing sounds suspicious to you, bitch? Okay, reluctantly, Marley and Tony go up to the mansion, and I just already knew that Tony was in on whatever the is going on. That, like, whatever the this is just whatever. I was correct. The movie wasn't very well put together anyway, but it really falls apart in this last like 10 minutes because she finds that phone that is miraculously still charged. Mind you, they dated like a year ago, and she immediately finds these videos of Kevin being verbally abusive and threatening her physically. Sure. And just when she's like wrapping her head around this, both Tony and Kevin cartoonishly lock her into the home and go on this whole supervillain monologue as they share their Mojo Jojo fucking dastardly plan of how they tricked her and had Caleb fall for the crime. And she wants to leave, so they knock her out with pop rocks or something like, and she passes out. They pick her up, put her on a boat, and under the seats, I guess, pops up Fila, who also gives her monologue about how it was all part of the plan. I don't know if it just got lost in the edits of this movie, but the plan makes absolutely no fucking sense. Again, exposition. They were all in cahoots. Fila, Kevin, and Tony. There are whole sentences in which I have no idea what the they're talking about. Something about changing names on a profile that we don't know what. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think so. Apparently, Tony was mad at Rodney because he was also fucking the white girl at one point. Kevin dressed up as Caleb, and he was the one jumping out the window to frame Caleb, I guess. And then Fila goes into her very subtle, it was all a part of the perfect crime, using the political narrative to cover the crime and get me that big settlement. She literally does that. Big settlement.
And she got me that big ass settlement.
Like, bitch, what? How did this turn into a telenovela? It wasn't. It was, again, the first half of it almost felt like a real movie, a bad one, but a real movie nonetheless. Anyway, the plan now is to take Marley, wrap something heavy around her, and throw her into shallow waters to drown to death. But before they can do that, here comes like a night boat cop who's like, hey, y'all can't be out in the water right now. It's prohibited and yada, 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 yada. And they're like, oh, okay. And he sees Marley and he's like, hey, what's going on with her? And they're like, oh, she's seasick. It's crazy. He was like, wait, there's something heavy around her. Are you sure? And then they shoot him. He was too close. He almost got it. So I'm sure nobody will notice the death of the cop. But okay. So the cop had a floaty on, so his body is still floating in the water. So they have to deal with that. And in that time, they can't move on, even though Marley's underwater. So she's able to escape, get back on the boat, shoot all of them with flares, and is able to shoot the final flare up into the sky and save herself. But Caleb's charges are dropped, and Marley is being interviewed at the station that Fila used to work at. The movie ends as if trying to defend itself, which I find very interesting. Essentially, again, this waxing and confusing, like, it doesn't matter if we're on the left or the right. Police killing black men is wrong, which yes, it is wrong. But many people want to make it racial or political.
Many want to make it political. Many want to make it racial. When you take the arguments of the left and the right out of it, it's still fundamentally wrong.
Then complains that conservative outlets say that there's no merit to any case of police brutality. They're all liars just because these people were. And she's like, no, that's bullshit. But we need to get to the heart of the real issue, which is race relations and officers.
That would happen would be that we would pay closer attention to these cases. All of them, fairly and objectively, so that we can get to the heart of these issues, which are race relations and officers.
So you just said that the issue is that people try to make it racial or political, and we need to really focus on the fact that it is racial and political. So I say all this to say that this like weird, almost apolitical disavowal of racializing racial violence, it's very interesting to me, especially after making a whole movie about what if police brutality is actually, in this case at least, a grand psyop by a disgruntled black people that want to frame white cops for things that they didn't do. They're good people on both sides and bad people on both. You see what I mean? It's such a slimy and disingenuous way to present a moral spin. Honestly, this is just the ramblings of an apolitical black man who feels like after doing a movie that is staunchly so political, he has to defend himself, but he can't. And I'm even right now, I'm having trouble kind of nailing pudding to the wall. It's hard to really like deal with this kind of weird argument. If I had to guess, okay, again, I don't know Tyler Perry, but if I had to guess, Tyler Perry is a conservative man. And when I say conservative, I don't necessarily mean political, but I wouldn't be surprised. Is a socially conservative man, as many black men are, especially ones that are around his age and raised in the church, who is struggling with a lot of his ideologies around a lot of things. If I had to be real honest with you, I'd guess that Tyler Perry don't like black people. This is a theory. I know he don't like my ass. I don't like his work. And I also think he's a narcissist. These are just theories. Again, I don't know. I have a theory that Tyler Perry is a black conservative, closeted gay man who really hates black people, but feels as though he has to make things to appeal to his black constituents because they're the people that buy his shit. But also he wants to do this kind of like slimy, slippery, like police apologetics, essentially. I don't know. Tyler Perry is a fascinating case study to me. And for better or worse, I tend to continue to go down rabbit holes of fascinating case studies because they fascinate me. Shocker. If we take away like loud political implications of a movie about a black man being shot by police, but it's actually being the machinations of other black men, taking all of that out of the picture if you can somehow, the movie's just not good. It's not terrible. Like, he's done much worse. Fall from Grace is wow. But it's just not good either. And the parts about it that makes, excites me to any commentary at all are really gross. and also tell me something about Tyler Perry's views on things. We got to look at him at a case-by-case basis. Sometimes the police has to shoot him, you know? What if he was a cheater? What if he cheated on his wife? And, it wasn't the white guy who shot him. It was the machinations of evil black people in the background or whatever. I don't know. It's gross. Anyway, I say all that to say this is the end of the video and I've been talking too long. If you like this video, feel free to like this video though. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Bluesky, both of which are KennieJD. I know, again, there's people in here like, hey, are you gonna do Beauty in Black? Like I said, yeah, I've seen it. It's so bad. It's so awful. I know he has other TV shows, but I haven't seen them. This is the only TV show I've watched of his. And his work should not be drawn out over several episodes. Absolutely atrocious. Stories trash. Acting's trash. God. I'll be working on that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.